So what's going on, guys? Sean Don coming back with another technical analysis. Welcome. If this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe and hit me up for your own technical analysis if that's what you're into. Shot, disc, hammer, I do it all. Let me know. But yeah, so here we have Matthew Hart, hammer thrower, clearly, throwing the hammer, clearly. He said, he admitted he's a little rusty since he hasn't thrown that much this summer, but he wants to get back into it, so he ordered a technical analysis. So hopefully we can try to help get him right a little bit and, see what technical improvements can be made. So let's take a look. I'm assuming this is a 16-pound hammer since he's in college. Said he's going to study abroad in Germany, which is pretty cool. Germany is, in Europe, and Europe is pretty much the hammer throwing capital of the world. So that's pretty dope. Overall, I like some things. Just looking at the throw, overall, specifically, you stay pretty centered, and I like your lower body movement. But let's break it down and see what it looks like further. So come through the winds, pendulum start. A little step back, it looks like. Yeah, just a little step back. And then a little step out. So, to start though, this first wind is, I guess it's not bad. It's kind of steep though, in my opinion. And then I think because that's steep, it's hard to flatten out this second wind and into the entry. So you're just a little steep just right off the start. I would start by, starting this first wind real easy. Like just super easy. And then don't really try to accelerate until you go into the second wind. So a nice easy first wind. Maybe keep your hands up a little bit and keep your hands out a little bit more to the right. So where your hands come pretty much right next to the hip, try to get your hands out just a little bit more. You want to try to make your wind similar to the throw itself. So when your hands are very close to your body and your radius is not very long in the winds, it's hard to set up a longer radius in the throw. And then also, when you drop your hands over here, the ball is going to rise on the right, so this is probably going to cause a little unnecessary steepness. And I think that comes through at the end. We'll see. So flatter winds, easier winds, bigger winds. Bigger is the word I like to use. Think about literally covering more distance with the ball in the winds. Bigger circumference. Keep those hands up, especially as you come through here. You can see your head already is starting to lead just a bit. Try to relax just a little bit more through this wind. Let the ball come out here back left, but then also just stay relaxed and let the ball come through. Your head leads, and you can see the strain in your face. The video is not exactly the clearest, not the highest of quality, but that's usually what happens with these dang analyses. But it looks like there's a good amount of effort being put into this throw. You can see like your cheeks are kind of puffed out like you're going for a big squat. So try to level out this second wind especially. The flatter the second wind is, the easier it's going to be. So as you come through, also, you can see that right elbow kind of pull down a little bit, and I think that's because the ball is going down. Like I said, you want this right elbow to think about pushing flat across, kind of almost into your left arm, where instead it kind of pulls down and the ball ends up going up because you pull it down with that right elbow. Flatter wind. And then besides that, this left side, man, just goes so early. You can see head's way ahead of the ball, shoulders way ahead of the ball. There's almost no space between your chest and your arm, at least not until about there. So, I guess this left side just goes early. And it's not even your left leg per se, and maybe it's because you do start off a heel, which I did not notice in the original first time through watching it. But, so you're coming off the heel. You do a good job of keeping that left foot closed, but at the same time, this right foot does nothing. So this is all left side. This is all your shoulder pulling the ball through on the entry. when ideally it should be this right leg pushing. So your right leg should turn with the ball, and then your left leg should also turn with the ball. Unfortunately, there's not much right side going action here. So when the ball comes through here, drive this right hip around this left side. All right? Turn this right foot, turn that right knee into the left knee, whatever it takes. Got to get that right hip going around the left. And then once again, I think if you flatten out the entry, like I said, I think that'll make working that right side a little easier. And then additionally, and this is something I haven't quite figured out yet, I'm not a three-turn, or not even, I shouldn't say three-turn, a heel entry expert. I think there's a little bit different technique when it comes off the toe turn as opposed to the heel. And self-admittedly, I am not the best heel turner, especially off the start, because I do exactly what you're doing, and your hip shifts way back, away from the ball. When ideally you want to keep this left hip right about here and send the ball, and like I said, your right hip. Everything needs to come around this left hip. Your entire radius is this left side. It is the heel. So coming through. And I think this is a reaction to not only your left side initially pulling. So your left side pulls early, and that makes it hard for your right to work because your left side's already had, rather than, using this right side to turn. And then because you're only using your left shoulder and not your right leg, this hip is going to shift back. So moving through there. A lot of things you can fix in the winds and entry, but I think that's true for most people. That's usually the biggest part of the throw that has the most effect on the rest of the throw. But, we'll see how the rest of the throw develops. So after the hip shifts back, you can see ball rises after that steep dropping of the hands. It looks like you do a good job. Ooh, that's interesting. So yeah, you can ultimately see that you do kind of come around this left hip a little bit after it has shifted back so much. But I think that's a result of that left side pulling. The hard thing about starting off a heel is that, and I think Lance Deal told me this, when you start off a toe, you just need to set up the radius in the first turn, and then the second turn, when you shift back onto the heel, that's when you set up the direction of the throw. And the hard part about starting off a heel is that you need to set up both the radius and the direction in this first turn. So that's what's hard about doing a four turn. And I think that's something that you're kind of missing here, where you kind of get the radius a little bit if that left shoulder and hip doesn't come so far back. But then you kind of miss the direction a little bit because that left shoulder is pulling so much as the ball comes through zero. And then because of that, you almost come around too much. And you end up catching late, which is, right foot comes down about there, and ball is probably just past 270, which is not always a bad thing. Some people just don't catch early in the first turn, and that's fine. But I think you could set up this entry in this first turn better. And even you can see here that left foot is I wouldn't say way ahead. Everything's kind of turning together, but by this point, you want to think about driving the right hip towards the ball and stepping towards the sector, whereas instead, that right foot comes down very late, and I think that's because the hips do shift back a little bit. So keep those hips locked in the entry. So you catch, and once again, because the ball came up, and you can even see you have that little shoulder shrug, turtle shell. I had a teammate who used to do that very bad back in the day. You're not nearly as bad as he was, but ideally, you want to keep your shoulders down and relaxed, arms outstretched, shoulders stretched forward as possible, not up. I'm not personally a fan of doing the whole kind of turtling your head up and down, I guess your shoulders up and down as the throw progresses, because that kind of means you're actively trying to lift almost with the traps. So, shoulders up, hands come down, catch a little late. But for the most part, your hips aren't great here. This right foot, like I said, is a little late, so it kind of just comes back behind you slowly, lethargically. I don't know if that's the right word, probably not, but you kind of need this active, like I said, drive the hip towards the ball, an active right knee drive. So think about almost like doing like A skips or power skips or something like that. You need to get that knee drive towards the ball, and that'll help step forward as opposed to coming around like you do here. And then since you catch late, once you catch late, there's really no chance that you're going to catch up to the ball. So your left side's going to turn more. At least that's my hypothesis, and we'll see. And it's not bad. Not as bad as the entry, that's for sure. I think you do a good job of giving to the ball here and turning with it. You turn with it much better. So excuse me, you proved me wrong there. Way to go, Matthew. Got a little ahead of myself. Got a little cocky. But yes, you do a better job of turning here. Still, though, the right side does not do much turning. It does more than it did in the first turn, and it turns better with the ball, as does the left side. This is much better than the first turn. Yeah, much better. And then you can see this, since the right side turns better, the left side turns better. And then because everything's turning with the ball better, you have a much quicker right foot step. Boom. And you catch earlier. Probably just a bit before 270. And even here, much better posture. Hips under shoulder, shoulders back over the hips, whatever you want to call it. Posture's in a straight line, pretty much weight more on the left side, as opposed to back here where posture's not great. Hips are back, shoulders are forward. But as you come through, yeah, like I said, that's just a much better position there. Much better second turn than first turn, that's for sure. You look a little tight. I would say maybe try to relax your arms a little bit more. Like I said, shoulders sloped forward, not up. But yeah, this posture is great. Shoulders right over hips, it's great. And then you see here, pretty solid right side turning. It's a little stagnant, but I guess it turns slow enough along with the ball still. Yeah, honestly, this turn's pretty solid as well. Right side turns, left side turns with the ball. Sorry for the voice crack. And then you work it well. Because you do that, once again, you have this nice quick right leg step. So what you have in the second and third turn, you need to find in the first turn. And I think that would get much better if you could kind of lock those hips in and get that right foot turning more in the start. And even this is the same thing. Right leg and left leg turn better together. Much better right leg knee drive. Hips are under. Posture's good here once again. Like I said, man, 2-3-4. You have a real nice 2-3-4. Pretty good. Like I said, I think you can relax the arms a little bit. And then boom, heel down early. And then you just hook the finish a bit. I think this is residual from that left side starting in the entry. And you don't catch the others, but hey, it's okay. Once again, you don't need to catch every turn early. It's more about the force applied in double support than always the time in double support. But yeah, and then I think just a little twisty, a little over-rotated somehow on that finish. I think that's probably just a timing thing, honestly. But yeah, dude, like I said, I think 2-3-4 is real good. Your biggest gains are going to come from these winds. Flatten out the winds, and then get that right side going. Flatten out the winds and get that right side going in the entry. And really think about, so like right about here, this left shoulder should stay where it's at, this left hip should stay where it's at, this knee should stay where it's at, and this, everything should be in a straight line here. And then ideally you want the ball to come around there, whereas it shifts back instead. And then you come up. Flatter entry, better left side axis in the entry, and your 2, 3, and 4 are only going to get even better. Your timing's only going to get even better, and then you're going to start smacking throws. So honestly, like I said, 2, 3, 4 is pretty nice. Try to relax those arms a bit. Maybe use some tacky if you don't already do that. I prefer toss and sauce by the Throw Bros. This is not a paid endorsement. I just really like their product. So yeah, nice job, Matthew. Even though it's a little rusty, according to you, but still solid. So, all right, thanks for watching. Like I said, if you guys want a technical analysis, if you're on shot put, discus, hammer, shit, maybe I'll even do javelin. Yeah, let me know. Hit me up on social media. My website is currently down, so you can't use that link. Just hit me up on social media, send me a DM, say, hey, I want a technical analysis, and we'll get you worked out. Alrighty, thanks guys for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and yeah, peace out. Until next time.